Hi, this is Lisa Maxwell from the 976 Horns on the Use Your Illusion tour, and you're listening to Appetite for Distortion.
You know where you are.
This is Appetite for Distortion.
And welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode 252. It is Brando, and shame on me for waiting so long to have Lisa Maxwell on the podcast. So welcome. Thank you for taking some time out.
My pleasure.
Because I've had Roberta Freeman on a couple times. I got Tracy Amos, and I always get all these great, I don't know if I want to call it side characters, but people who have great stories that aren't, Axl Rose or Slash, but people who have incredible backgrounds that, connect to our GN'R world. And I got to say, I found something about your bio that I think I might love even more than, close to gunsnroses.
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Oh, no, guess. I'm curious.
Spinal Tap.
No, I was not going to say Spinal Tap. I want to ask you about them, but see, I'm going to say Animaniacs. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I actually just watched the new version of it on Hulu, and I still love it. So, and I think you won awards for doing, what was it, Yakko's Wish? For
Wacko's Wish.
Wacko's Wish.
I orchestrated the Animaniacs feature, which was Animaniacs Pinky and the Brain. They were so great. It was great. And I orchestrated all the episodes of an offshoot of that, which was called Hysteria, Histeria, and about history. So, of course, they discontinued those cartoons because they were good. Steven Spielberg wanted to bring back great animation and the Carl Stalling style music. So I feel really lucky to have participated in that in the early, it was right before, when was that? In the late 90s. Yeah, I came in on the last couple of years of that run.
Yeah, I was in high school, I believe. I don't know. Well, hopefully if it gets renewed for more seasons, you'll work on some more Animaniacs. But anyway,
yeah, one never knows.
I'm not going to waste your time or my listeners' time by talking about Pinky and the Brain for 20 minutes. Then again, you never know. First thing I guess I have to ask, though, is because when I was reading on your website that you had COVID a year ago. I'm assuming you're okay? Because I don't want to ignore that.
Yeah, I had COVID at the end of last March. I have no remaining symptoms, luckily, and it did last for weeks. I didn't have to be hospitalized. I didn't have breathing problems, but it was pretty bad.
Oh, well.
I don't recommend it. I had COVID OG, the New York City one, so yeah, all is fine now.
Good.
Hopefully
I'm glad.
Get the vaccine soon. Move on from that.
Because there are so many things. And this is kind of where to navigate the conversation. Yeah, of course, health overall, but you and your career. I'm glad to hear that you said it didn't affect your breathing, because what you're doing now. Tell me about Shiny before we lose that and get into the GN'R stuff, because you're putting together your first big band and Paul Schaefer is involved. So if you can tell me about Shiny.
Yeah. Well, I actually released the album.
Okay.
I released it in May of 2019. So it was kind of perfect timing COVID wise. And we had a fabulous record release party at the Cutting Room in New York City, and then out at Catalina's Jazz Club in LA. And I was, planning more and looking towards playing at jazz festivals. It's a 20-piece big band that I've been leading. And then COVID happened. So we haven't, we'll have to pick up after in another year or so. But the backstory is, I was, orchestrating, writing arrangements for all different people, and the late great trumpet player Lou Soloff, who played the trumpet solo on Blood, Sweat, and Tears' Spinning Wheel. He was a little older, and he was in the Gil Evans Orchestra and played, legit stuff, Manhattan Brass. He was just an all-around great guy, the best jokes, the most lovable person and friends with everyone. He was a big champion of my arranging, and he said, you just got to do your own stuff, and like, I'll play on anything you write. And we were kind of talking about doing a project together for years, every time we'd see each other. And then he died suddenly, and I thought, oh God, we never did, we didn't make the album. And I just thought, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to make an album. And it really is an all-star. There's Paul Schaefer's on it, and Will Lee, both from the Letterman Band, Lou Marini and Tom Malone from the Blues Brothers, all kinds of great players. Mike Stern, amazing guitar player. Almost everyone's a legend in their own right. Tons of Broadway players and jazz and studio legends from New York City. And so it's dedicated to Lou Soloff, and everybody who's playing on it has a connection to him. And I wrote 5 original songs, and then I arranged everything. So I did arrangements of 4 songs. So there are 9 tunes. My friend Adam Dorn, aka Motion Worker, did a dance remix of the tune Shiny, which is heavily influenced by TV themes my writing's kind of influenced by TV themes of the 70s, because that's my cultural heritage.
Nice, sure.
So there's kind of a wide range under the jazz umbrella. The first song, Shiny, is like a boogaloo, sort of the feel of 1974 chase scene. And then it kind of goes backwards chronologically or stylistically, and there ends up with some straight ahead stuff and like a Duke Ellington style swing tune. So there's something for everyone, and I'm really proud of it. I did a crowdfunder and raised $56,000, and
wow.
So got 4 stars in Downbeat, and it's really exciting. So thanks for bringing that up.
No, of course, because people want to know what
available on all platforms.
Right on.
And then I'm also working on some TV music stuff, which I hate to say this, when people post stuff like, I'm working on something, I can't say what it is, but I can't say.
Okay.
But that's my next, that's the TV music stuff is hopefully the next, what I'm segueing into.
Okay, cool. I mean, your resume is all over and I love it. And I know I only have a limited time with you because, you have so much background in television. So when you work with whether it's people on TV or the big band in Shiny, do people ask, you used to play with Guns N' Roses? Does that happen? Yeah. Do they know that going into it? Or they're like, wait a minute.
Well, the people on my album are all my friends, and like they've known me for a long time, so they all know. But some of the people I meet, it's not the first thing I'll tell somebody, but usually people know or have heard or something. So it's always an interesting and fun talking point.
Because this is the 30th anniversary of Use Your Illusion and the beginning of that tour. I mean, it's just insane. So, it
was such a blast. Yeah. And when I first joined the tour, it was right after, as probably Roberta and Tracy told you, we all joined at the same time. It was right after the riots, the St. Louis riots, and Izzy had just left. So Gilby was also new because he was Izzy's replacement. And I was not like a Guns N' Roses fan. I was familiar with Welcome to the Jungle and Sweet Child of Mine because that's what was on the radio.
Right.
But I was like, well, we'll see. I was playing on a TV show band. In LA, they have or wherever they shoot sitcoms, they have a live studio audience in between shots. They may have 20 minutes or so while they're changing the camera or whatever. So they have a band playing for the audience, and I was in one of those bands with Teddy Zigzag Andriatis, who is the fabulous other singer and keyboard player.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he was friends with Slash, so he recommended me. He's like, hey, I'm looking for some chick singers. Some chick horn players. So I recommended you to Slash. So I was like, great, thank you. And then Slash called me and said, I'm playing at this club next week. Why don't you come down and sit in? So I did. And then we talked after. He's like, great. Can you put a horn section together? And I said, sure. And I'll write all the charts. And so that's the way that happened.
How did and I should know this as somebody who hosts a GN'R podcast, but how did the name of the horn section come about?
976 Horns.
Yeah.
With a Z. In New York at the time, this was pre-cell phones. the Village Voice had all, it was like, newspaper, and on the back pages were all these 976 numbers. There were like sex numbers.
Oh, okay.
So anything that started with 97, it was like, and then they'd have advertisements on TV, on cable TV. They'd be like, certain channels would be like, call 976, come, or whatever.
Sure.
And so I was born in LA. I'm a native Angelino, but I've been living, on both coasts and more in New York. So I came up with the name. I don't even know if, I think that Cece and Ann were aware of it, but they were just like, okay, whatever.
It's funny.
It was funny at the time. Yeah, it was really funny.
You know what? I definitely didn't know that and forgot about it. That's I didn't know. That's funny. Now that's going to have me giggle every time I listen to Move to the City and you go into your insane solo. So if I can ask, because you played on Move to the City, Bad Obsession, and also Live and Let Die. Was there anything else that you played on?
Oh, yeah. We played on November Rain.
Sure.
Initially, there were just a few tunes, and then I realized how long, the sets were. Like, they're like sometimes we would play for up to 3 hours a night, and I'm like, we're just going to be sitting there. So I wrote charts for several of the other tunes. Axel doesn't, well, I don't know what he does now, but he didn't rehearse at the time, and Slash loves to rehearse. So we rehearsed for 2 or 3 weeks prior to going out on our first leg, which was their second leg of that tour, I guess. And every time one of the songs would, a new song would come up that I'd written a chart for, I'd be like, hey, I wrote a chart for the song. And you're like, if you don't like it, that's cool, but we could check it out. And Slash was always willing to listen. And
that's cool.
They were like, that sounds great. Let's do it. So we ended up playing on a lot more tunes. I should have reviewed. I can't remember what they are now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you remember any of the songs that weren't initially, involve you, but that they liked your idea?
Can I get back to you on that after the phone call? Okay,
Sure. No, all good. Not a problem.
Yeah, because the songs that have horns on the album, they're just a few of them, I think, like the ones you mentioned, but there was one called Bad Apples we played on. Mm-hmm. And so a couple of maybe 3 more or 4 more. So,
okay. I guess what I can ask you, and hopefully you do remember. Then again, it's I don't. Obviously, I'm 37, so I'm not going to remember what happened 30 years ago. So when you would play the songs, but you would go back and write, was that all you did in between? Was that enough time, or did you find yourself bored, or you're just I don't know. I guess in between the songs that you weren't playing on, how did that go? Or you just
during a performance? During
a performance, yeah.
Oh, well, I wasn't writing during a performance.
Okay.
But no, I meant like
I
in the beginning when we were first initially hired.
Oh,
I listened to the whole album and all the other tunes, from all the albums, and they were like, here are all the tunes we're doing, and then I listened to each one, and where I heard, horns could be cool on this one. Then I just wrote a chart. So when we rehearsed it, I was like, by the way, I wrote a chart. There weren't horns originally on this, but I wrote a chart. You see if you like it. So then when we did go on tour, we ended up playing on more songs than, there are horns on more songs on the tour than there were on the albums.
Nice. Okay, cool.
What we did between songs was, there was never any set list. So we had to be listening, every musician or group of musicians had a little room under the stage, like a little waiting room with a TV monitor. So we could see what was going on stage. And then we had to just be listening and ready for, like, if we were sitting down there waiting, we weren't on Welcome to the Jungle, let's say. So then at the end of the tune, we would get ready to run up on stage. We had to listen for the first few notes of the next tune. And, by the end of the 2 years or 2.5 years, however long we were with them, like it was pretty easy to tell, like, okay, we could name the tune in one note, but in the beginning it was challenging. Like, wait, are we on this tune or not? And then we'd run up. And we were on the position on the very top of the stage in the middle. So we had to run up all these stairs. And it was pretty funny. All
right. I'll give that, because people are excited to hear from you. I'll give that question from one of my listeners, Dirk from Germany. Because I can only imagine you at the beginning. It's like, ready? You have like one foot on like one step, like ready to go.
Yeah.
Or if it's welcome to the jungle, you have a break for 4 minutes.
Yeah, heels and horns and, like falls. Our hair was down to our ass. It wasn't all our hair. But you know what I mean? Like we were in like costume practically, with these high heels and then the horns. And the very first, I think the first shows we played got reviewed by the New York Times, and the reviewer said, and they've added models holding horns, like a horn section of models pretending to play the instruments.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, well, I'm flattered that you think I'm a model, but like, we're really playing. I remember doing a couple of interviews, one with the Boston Globe. I had a friend who was working there, and she's like, I'll interview you, and you like get the word out that you're actually playing. So kind of funny.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I know what, I'm going to put this out, and it's gonna make sense because people are looking at you like, at the beginning, you're a model. There's no way they could play instruments. So I'm going to release this on International Women's Day, March 8th. As
okay,
because that article all those years ago made me mad. I don't know why I'm like mad.
Oh,
for
you read that article?
No, I'm like, for you telling me right now, I'm angry
okay.
for you.
Yeah,
because it's just like you guys are so gals are so insanely talented. When you had to, I guess, dress up, like was that your normal attire? Because to promote this interview, I took one of the pictures from the Use Your Illusion booklet. You're
with the fishnet body stocking and the leather chaps and stuff.
Yes.
No, that was not my normal. No, it was nobody's normal attire.
Okay.
They had a costume designer make these outfits for us, and I still have a couple of them. They're pretty, like the leather is really cool on those chaps and the vest and stuff. But and if I could still fit into it, it's my barometer, right? Oh my God, I could still fit barely. But no, so that was part of it. Was like, could we pick out our own outfits? So we kept going back and forth with the band. And I don't know if it was if it was the manager or Axl or Slash or all or whatever, but so I think they were trying to make them look like, sort of slutty, bondagey kind of things. And some of them worked and some of them did just look like, oh, you look like Heidi wearing lederhosen, but then at one point, I think we asked, like, why don't you guys just give us some money and we'll go buy some clothes that we would wear to a club, like that we actually would wear. And I think at one point we pushed for, the Robert Palmer video with like Addicted to Love with all those women wearing like Chanel type suits.
Yeah.
We were like, that would be really cool. And they almost said yes, but then they were like, no, we like the dirty, slutty look. So we ended up buying some clothes, halfway through the tour maybe. And then so that highly stylized costume look sort of relaxed partway through the tour.
I mean,
so everybody felt comfortable with what they were wearing.
How do you feel about that? Like, I guess, how do you feel about that at the time? Because you were kind of hesitant, I guess, to initially join Guns N' Roses, and then dressing differently. It's like, what was the atmosphere? I guess, was it uncomfortable?
Well, I can't speak for anyone else,
sure.
But no, I thought it was fun the whole time. Cool. I loved it. I loved dressing up. Cool. I didn't mind the cost. Like, I didn't mind. I thought it was all fun. Cool. I think a couple of the other women were more resistant to like, oh, I don't want to dress like that.
Okay.
I was like, sure, I'll dress like a slut.
Hey, if I have $1 for every time I've said that. It's all
dressed. You're like, it was all like a costume and dress up for me. Like it wasn't. I think because I was like a jazz and R&B funk person. To me, it was like, well, I may as well be wearing whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I may as well be wearing that because it's like. It wasn't like my, I don't know it wasn't like my genre, my preferred genre.
Sure.
So I didn't really care, but no, I'm pretty open-minded anyway, and I think I probably was, like, come on guys, it'll be fun, and they're like, no, it's not fun, and it objectifies us, and I'm like, so what, but so now I probably wouldn't wear that, but it was still fun.
Okay, I'm glad you had I mean, it was the 80s.
I'll be honest. I'm honest. I'll tell it like it is. Yeah, I had no problem.
Yeah, no, same here. That's what I want this whole show to be, and I don't ask anyone if it's any, if it's uncomfortable. And, you could have said pass, but you can tell that. As long as the atmosphere was fun, and it wasn't.
Yeah, it was a blast, and my attitude about that stuff is like, hey, if you got it, like
flaunt it.
If you gotta flaunt it, like have fun.
Speaking of having fun, I know I'll only keep you for a couple more minutes. What was your favorite song to perform?
I don't know, off the top of my head, I'm going to say Live and Let Die. It was really fun. And then also, we came in at the end we played on Paradise City at the end, and that was always really fun because it was usually I think it was always the last tune.
Yeah.
And it was such a party, and it was so there's so much energy on the stage and hard to describe for people who have never been on a stage playing in front of thousands, if not like 130,000 people. The energy coming back from the audience was, who are all singing, and it's just unbelievable. And so it's like this huge release with Paradise City. And it was like, it was like New Year's Eve every night. That's kind of the vibe, just like a huge, pop the champagne bottle kind of feeling, like, oh yeah, all positive. Everybody's feeling good. Everybody's dancing. Everybody's happy,
Is there any funny story that sticks out in your mind?
Funny story?
Yeah, I know. I don't really like to dig for dirt. So, is there anything that's kind of, that's funny that you can remember? Slash fell asleep in the toilet. You saw Axl picking his nose. Something like silly. Or like the theme parties that you would have. Any?
The theme parties were hilarious. I mean, they had certain staples at each party, which were, I think, every party had to have a hot tub, strippers, pinball machines and video games, sushi, and maybe something else. I can't remember, but they had to have those, right? And then these were the theme parties during the Metallica Guns N' Roses tour in the States.
Right.
And so there was like a pig, I remember there was a pig on a spit. I think it was probably the Roman toga party.
Okay.
Or maybe it was the Hawaiian luau, or I can't remember. And then there was like a Western theme. They had all different themes. And so those were really funny.
Wow.
Yeah. The after show was fun.
Well, I'll say this, and I'll end here. The Use Your Illusion tour, like you don't see Hall of Fame tours go into Hall of Fames. It's a band, it's a person. I think the Use Your Illusion tour should be in the Hall of Fame represented, and that's why Gilby should be in, Roberta should be in, you should be in that tour. Like there's nothing else like it, like ever. Like now you can't do what Guns N' Roses did on that tour 30 years ago. So
right.
The fact that your career has been just insane since, and quite different. So I hope I get to speak with you again. I want to talk about Duckman. I want to talk more about Animaniacs. And
sure.
And if there's any, because you also did you can say like if it was just a simple thing, or if there's a story there, because you also played on Duff McKagan's solo record, Believe in Me, right? Could It Be You? Did the string arrangement? So I'm assuming.
Yeah, I didn't play on it. He asked me to write the string arrangement. I mean, it was just one string arrangement for the song "Could It Be You." So I did that and contracted a LA studio string section, and I conducted it. And yeah, I don't even know if he knows this because I don't know. I think it was after the tour. I can't remember when it came out, but I was so excited. And back when we still had cassettes, and I ran out and bought like a cassette and a CD. And I was like, this is going to be my first album credit as an arranger. And my name wasn't on it. Like they forgot to put my name on. And I'm sure it was just an oversight. And I, asked the union about it. And then I called, I don't know, the manager or whatever it was. They're like, oh, they said on the next printing, they'll put your name on or something. And I don't think there was another printing. But that aside, that's just an ego thing and also a legal thing.
No, you deserve your credit.
Exactly. But that aside, it was really fun to do that.
Duff won't, he won't come on my show, but I'll tweet him and then see if he, I don't know. He'll do an anniversary in 2023. He'll do an anniversary and you'll be on it.
Oh no, those guys they're all super nice and
Sure.
and I love them.
Awesome. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for your time. I hope we get to do this again and just continue success. And if people want to check out all of your work, it's at lisamaxwellmusic.com.
Thank you so much and have a great day.
That was a lot of fun. We'll get Lisa on again. And now I got to complete the whole set of the horn section. I got to get CeCe Worrell on. I got to get Ann King. I haven't reached out to them, so I'm saying this. I'm thinking this as I'm saying it. Who else? As I'm looking at the whole, the Use Your Illusion touring lineup. We've had Teddy Zigzag, and I think the only other person other than CeCe and would be Diane Jones, who also did some backup vocals. Otherwise, would get everybody. Isn't that something? Amazing. So you know what? Before we wrap up, let's do this quickly. News. Obviously, there was a lot more shotgun news when this podcast started in the early episodes with the reunion and all the rumors going on, but there really isn't much happening in the Guns N' Roses world now, other than Slash is working on another record with Miles Kennedy, Todd Kerns, the whole Conspirators gang. So that'll be cool. If you follow Megan Hodges, his girlfriend, on Twitter, they posted on Instagram rather, they posted a video from the studio. Would be cool if we had that as Guns N' Roses fans. So I saw this headline and I couldn't stop laughing. Like, just to think about all the conversations we've had on this podcast, the conversations you have as a Guns N' Roses fan in a forum with your friends. So this was posted. Cardi B deactivates Twitter after fans slam her doll release, asking for new music instead. Sound familiar? It has to sound familiar because I don't care about Cardi B. It just sounds like Rosie Perez, like rapping. I'm not a huge hip hop person, but and now I'm gonna sound like an old man. I don't get today's music. I don't know. Give me Heavy D and the Boys any day. So she says, this is one from People Magazine. I have so much pressure. I'm working on a lot of shit to people please. I mean, what would Axl say? Think about that. What did we get? What have we gotten since the Chinese democracy? We've gotten children's books. We've gotten toys. All these things. I don't want to go too far one way or the other because those things are cool. I totally support making a children's book to bring your kid up on Guns N' Roses. I think all these little toys and trinkets, because if you look at, as I'm looking around in my apartment right now, I have tons of toys. My girlfriend has tons of toys. I have GN'R stuff. She has Dave Matthews stuff. So that's fine. That's fine. But when your band doesn't release music and there's always kind of a promise of new music around the corner, it gets frustrated. So Cardi B decided to deactivate her Twitter. Unlike Guns N' Roses, if you see, and this is not me, I always come, whenever they tweet something or Instagram, I always come back with a very corny retort to that. They're like, it's Slash time. I'm like, is that Eastern Standard? Like, what does that mean? I usually say something stupid like that. Do it right now. Do it right now. Look at their Facebook. Look at their Instagram. Look at their Twitter. The last post. Look at how many comments from all over the world. New music. Where's new music? Nueva musica. I don't know. I didn't do well in Spanish in high school. You see it, and this isn't from me. This isn't from my followers all over. So they're not paying attention, or they don't see it, or they don't care. I'm still holding out hope that something is going to happen when GN'R does tour dates at the end of the year, down under. I think something is going to happen, because if it doesn't happen then I just don't know, because I'm not much more of an insider than you listening to this podcast. There are people, quote unquote, who know people that say, oh yeah, they're working on stuff. And of course, Susan Holmes McKagan said on this show, I've heard stuff. Well, you can hear it until the cows come home, but until we physically have it, I don't know what to say. So when I saw that, just that headline, I didn't care about reading the actual article about Cardi B. I'm like, really? Like her fans are like freaking out. Like Cardi B does everything. Everything. We don't get a lot from, let's just say, Axl Rose. Other than, yeah, he does Scooby-Doo, which I love. I love that he did Scooby-Doo. I'm going to try to get the writer, the showrunner of Scooby-Doo on the podcast, just like I did with Looney Tunes. I love that stuff. But mixed in with it, maybe some new music, a new song. That I was disappointed with Scooby-Doo, that there was no new song like there was with Looney Tunes. And kudos to those guys. My God, to get Axl to record a song. And I reached out to them, Rob Janis and Kevin Fleming, who worked on that Looney Tunes episode, to try to hook me up with that the Scooby-Doo writer, see if the cartoon guys know each other. And for them to have gotten Axl to record a song, wow. They did something they can't get the band to do right now. I will say there is something else, a GN'R related release coming this year for sure. Finally, Matt Sorum's book, his autobiography, Double Talk and Jive, now scheduled to arrive in September. September 7th, the day before my birthday. So if you want to get me a gift, sure. I'm hoping to get Matt back on the show. Of course, there have been a lot of rumors why it was shelved. Publicly right now, they're saying due to the coronavirus pandemic. But as we GN'R fans know, and many of you have read his book, because it wasn't really, it leaked. I don't know how it leaked. I don't know if there were changes that were made since it leaked. I don't know. I will, if I get him on, I'll ask him about that. I just know the highlights from the book that leaked. But it was nice to see when I posted that he was, or I shared the article that many of you said, oh, I read it, but I'm going to buy it again. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to support Matt. So that's good to see. That's good to see. So just very interesting. So those two news stories caught my eye. Of course, Matt Sorum's book, we want it. And then the Cardi B thing. I'm like, oh, poor baby. You don't like the Cardi B fans? Imagine being a Guns N' Roses fan. Imagine what Axl's gone through. Jeez. I couldn't help but laugh. Anyway, that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. Again, always follow on social media. That's how the conversation continues in between the podcasts. That's how you can submit questions to upcoming guests. Like, I saw this one too late, so I'll apologize to Marco on Twitter. He said he loves these GN'R interviews with interesting perspectives. And that's the whole point of the show. He wanted to know, and I will ask this to Lisa next time, if they ever jammed anything interesting during sound check that was never played live. But it was fascinating. I'll get those answers from Lisa. What did she write music to, or feel that a horn section was needed during a live performance that was not initially there? So I'll definitely ask Lisa, and I'll put that on, again, social media. So Facebook.com/The AFD Show, Twitter @The AFD Show, Appetite for Distortion on Instagram. Please follow on YouTube. Okay, please follow and subscribe on YouTube. That is where all of our Zoom interviews live. So you'll be able to see me, do a lot of the interviews with Dave Mustaine when he asked if I got laid on my birthday, which was awkward. You get to see the new interview I did with Linda Perry, talking about her GN'R connections, where she's talking outside Dodger Stadium. All these cool, perceptions. Yeah, I'm still a radio guy. I like being behind the mic, but, sometimes it's fun, especially nowadays where we're all kind of alone together. It's fun to do podcasts like that. So, yeah, interviews with John Densmore up there. You get to see his face, our buddy Doug Goldstein. So, again, follow Appetite for Distortion, please, on YouTube. And, again, I don't know when it's going to be released yet, but I want to keep hyping it up because it was such a good interview. Miles Kennedy. I can't wait to share that one. So stick around, okay? When are you going to see the next episode? When is Miles going to air? Who is the next guest officially going to be? Well, in the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, you'll see it. I don't know if soon is the word.
Thanks to the lame ass security, I'm going home.